Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the REC podcast, brought to you by REC Comics and Collectibles. I'm your host, Roman Chavez, and with me, as always,
Erik Icarus.
Joining us on the show today. You just smell that? Just the ocean? It's moderately priced tuna. The big tuna!
Yeah, that's salt water for you.
Jesus. Remember, kids, when you buy your fish, it should have supple eyes. Shouldn't be an odor of the funk. It should smell very clean.
Odor of Funk was my high school band.
You can follow us on Instagram at REC Podcast. You can follow myself at Roman REC Podcast, and you can follow the shop at REC Comics. Check us out there. And if you're in Colorado Springs, 7679 North Union Boulevard in Colorado Springs, 80920. Gentlemen, Erik, how are you?
Up,
Good. Big tuna?
I'm good, yeah.
We haven't seen you guys in a little while. We've been busy and lazy and all kinds of things, but we've been working, kids. We've been working. And we had to have something of what I would call an emergency show because big things have happened. Spider-Man No Way Home has come out, and Hawkeye is about to have its season finale, actually tonight, going in tomorrow, and we had lots and lots and lots of things to talk to you about. Let's see, what do we want to start out with? Should we start off with No Way Home
Let's start with No Way Home, yeah.
All right, so we're going to talk some No Way Home spoilers, kids, and Hawkeye spoilers. So if you have not seen the show or the film yet, just go ahead and stop this and come back to us because we're talking mega spoilers. We're so excited. It's a lot of things that we all enjoy. So spoilers from here on out. That's your last big warning, okay? Oh my God, No Way Home was so good. I cried so many times. I loved it so much. Me and Erik actually went and watched it on opening night, Thursday night. Big Tuna saw it actually today in preparation for life, really. I'm upset you hadn't watched it until then, but that's fine.
Yeah,
whatever.
fair enough.
Whatever. I loved it.
It's good.
He thought it was good. It's
good.
fine. It's whatever. And the Big Tuna.
I really liked it because I think it was definitely a really risky story to tell. Mm-hmm. It had a lot of danger to become too convoluted, too complex, or too overfilled. Yeah. And the runtime, it's definitely it feels like it runs like maybe 10 minutes too long. Mm. But I enjoyed everything though. Yeah. And if I were to sit down and be like, okay, what do I have to cut out? That might be a little hard. Maybe a little bit from the beginning, like really drew out the whole, my life, my secret identity's been exposed for quite a while and stuff. But a lot of good additions to the universe. They really wrapped up. It feels weird, but it felt like they really wrapped up the other Spider-Man stories.
It did. It did. They were able to put some bows on the end of some things, and obviously with him just saying that, and hopefully you again watched it, we did get everything that we predicted. This was one of those very, very strange things. It was like knowing what you had under the Christmas tree. You knew the size of the boxes when you shook them when you weren't supposed to be. You heard exactly what you thought, and how ridiculous is that it was everything we thought, and it still blew me away. Yeah. It still exceeded my expectations. We did get multiple Spider-Men, as it were, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield coming back into the fold. How could they not do it, given what we had seen in the trailers with Doc Ock, hearing Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, and then actually seeing him? Dude, he stole the show for me. Yeah. I think Willem Dafoe is the bright spot, and some of the articles that have come out, which unfortunately, if you hadn't seen it, headlines were spoiling this movie, man. I saw a couple headlines on Hollywood Reporter or Vanity, I can't remember, but Willem Dafoe only agreed to come back if he could actually do some stunt work and do some actual story stuff. He didn't want to be, what did they call it, like a power cameo? Yeah. And he wasn't. Very part of the story really showed us again, because it's been a long time it's been since the first movie, since we've had a usable Green Goblin. Mm-hmm. The one in Amazing Spider-Man was hot garbage, guys. Let's just say it. Yeah. Completely throwaway. And there was some speculation that we might get that Hobgoblin or Green Goblin. Thank God we did not. It had to be Willem Dafoe. And not only was it, but he added to we had already forgiven him for it's not his choice that the costume design sucked. Oh my gosh. Having him. Now, I would say his new costume was a little goofy, but had a lot of precedent in comics, and his just version of Norman Osborn is so good. And he hadn't looked like he aged. He's always looked pretty rough.
Yeah.
But he looks exactly the same.
Yeah, I know that they de-aged Alfred Molina.
They had to.
I don't know how much they did for Willem Dafoe. But yeah. And kind of to go back to what you were saying about like the Christmas tree analogy, sort of like going into Empire Strikes Back knowing that Darth Vader is Luke's father, but like not realizing he's actually a white guy. So like, but here's the thing. Even though there were some of those things that were expected, a lot of unexpected things happened too.
Yes.
I did like the way the resolution worked ultimately, that they were able to fix the heroes or the villains. And so often in the stories, they're redeemed at the very end at the point of death. Dr. Rock, and so yeah, and even Green Goblin, when his dying words are like, "Don't tell Harry."
Yeah.
And it becomes kind of so like there's a little bit of like a redemptive arc at the end of each of those heroes in a way sometimes, but like this was a way to actually like repair the damage that had been done. And so I was glad to see it wasn't just going to be a like we have to defeat the bad guys, we have to defeat Sandman, we have to defeat, and it became a mission to cure them, to kind of help them save them from themselves.
Yes, exactly. Something that Kevin Feige, you and your team, you guys are geniuses. You keep fight even when this how magicians work type thing. You remember those shows on Fox where they would show you the tricks, you jerks. Even with this type of where we saw everything in the trailers, the internet, we're so sensitive to spoilers and like threads. I mean, that Brazilian trailer with the lizard getting punched out of nowhere by, spoilers, kids, the Invisible Woman. They still managed to do something. You're like, oh, this is what Sony had been missing, is actually like putting a lot of thought into their storytelling. And they were like, and Kevin Feige's like, we're going to fix what you've done. You got a lot of good things. I thought it was a great idea to have Alfred Molina come in and then have him kind of be helpful to the spider people. Very smart, since we know that they were pulled out of earlier, before their deaths. Them figuring out and going through the motion of, oh, hey, he needs that chip replaced because the tentacles are controlling him, which is just so good. Jamie Foxx just being hot Jamie Foxx out there,
he was in it a little bit more than I thought he was going to be. I was kind of expecting him to be kind of like the kind of cameo guy, but like it was good that they showed him like struggling, because his character like had been so, and they addressed his appearance change and stuff. But, like his character had been so like thought he was worthless and insignificant and all those things, that like, oh yeah, they're going to cure me, but they're just going to make me normal. Like, I'm glad they continue to show that struggle. Yeah. That wasn't just a matter of like a quick fix. And I didn't think they were actually going to have Thomas Hayden Church. I thought we were just going to see Sand. Yeah. There are lots of plot, holes, and we're not going to touch on all of them. You find them, you let them destroy your own things, but for the most part, A+, high marks. Do we talk about her? I guess we should. Yeah. Probably the biggest and arguably the best kind of reveal or thing that happened, plot point, is Aunt May gets got by the glider, by Green Goblin, even though there hadn't been a Norman Osborn yet, or I don't think ever now, because I don't think you could bring in another Norman Osborn. You could just bring in, this Earth's Willem Dafoe, but having her die in this and just completely negating the Uncle Ben storyline. You have, I got to tell my wife not to watch this episode now, and she's been fiending for an episode, but sorry, babe, you haven't watched the movie yet. We're going to have to watch it. You can't, I got to remember. Sorry. Having her get killed, man. Like, oh, dude, it broke my heart. It was beautiful. The friggin' fight inside of the Happy's penthouse, that was a brutal fight. Like, Peter's getting messed up by Norman Osborn. And again, because I don't think a lot of people really got how vicious Norman Osborn was to Peter. And man, we got to see it here. What was something unexpected that really, what was something that shocked you in the movie that you were like,
I think you hit all of them.
Yeah, that was the beef. That was the beef. What do you think this does for the rest of the MCU? Because it sets up a lot of stuff, because again, at the end, Peter makes everybody forget that he was Spider-Man and that even really Peter Parker exists. People know that Spider-Man exists. This is still established by the way that the end is, but the way that they kind of twist the No Way Home scenario in the comic book, Mephisto makes a deal with Peter and MJ because somebody comes for Peter. And hires an assassin. They take a shot at Peter. He moves. It hits Aunt May, and she's like on her deathbed. So MJ and Peter in comics, Mephisto says, "Yeah, I'll take away this day, and it'll be like nothing happened. But I don't want your souls. I want your love. So you guys can't be together, and that's what I want." MJ kind of sneaks away, makes like a side deal with him, but they agree, and they agree to sacrifice what they have together so that Aunt May can live. So in this, Aunt May dies, and the people that know a Peter Parker and know Peter Parker as Spider-Man, they're like coming in through the walls of reality, and it's just destroying reality. So Peter agrees to like, oh, just have nobody know me. If nobody knows me, they're not going to be drawn here. Now, that doesn't mean that those cracks in reality are gone. We're seeing yet again more and more pieces of the multiverse of madness and what this means, because I had just initially thought that it was going to be Wanda, what she did in Westview that was going to do this. But then we saw Loki, and we saw the Sacred Timeline and the TVA and all of those things. And now we've seen Doctor Strange. It seems like it's going to be a culmination of these things. And the fact that, again, in Loki, guys, spoilers, 3, 2, 1, that they kill a version of Kang that will then bring another version of Kang, which is so fascinating. It's a little mind-boggling, and there's got to be a lot of strings in a room somewhere. Mm-hmm. But all of those things are creating this multiverse of madness.
Well, and Kang is the villain. I mean, they cast, I think, Jonathan Majors to play Kang in the next Ant-Man. And by kind of putting him as the kind of, they're sort of tagging him as like the villain. So I think we're going to start to see, even in Ant-Man, which, even though they deal with quantum realm stuff, it seemed like something that could be a little bit more removed from multiverse stuff. But maybe it's going to be like the lead in, like the tip of the spear of the invasion, as it were, of Kang the Conqueror.
Dude, like, I could see Marvel even totally just like baiting and switching us and not having Kang be really the big bad, like being the Ant-Man big bad, but maybe it's something else. Maybe it is a nihilist. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I wish there was a scene in No Way Home where like the fabric of reality is kind of tearing, and you're seeing like silhouettes of people who know Peter Parker and know that he's Spider-Man. I wasn't able to make out a bunch. I think everybody kind of saw the Rhino, but I wonder how many other realities were opening up, and if there was an illusion of Fantastic Four or the X-Men or whatever. I don't know. This changes the game. We're no longer the end game. We're in a new game, and it affords Sony the ability to do their Spider-Man movies and not necessarily need the MCU, because we've been relying on Tony Stark and Stark Tech, and I think they did a good job of showing,
like, wrapping that up,
how spoiled this version of Peter Parker is, because he's had, very much like in Age of Ultron when they're talking on Clint's farm and Sam Jackson is there, and he's like used to have all the money in the world, all the technology in the world. Now we just have our guts and our wits and our will to save the world. And Peter is back down to that bare bones, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Erik had a little happy moment in the film as well, because as we had somewhat gotten some spoiling going on, but we did get to see Charlie Cox as a lawyer, which again makes total sense, which I think now we for sure will see him in She-Hulk. If we don't see him in She-Hulk, it'd be ridiculous. But it's really good. And I was talking to the Tuna yesterday about this. I feel, and maybe I'm alone, but I feel like a lot of people kind of view the Netflix stuff almost the same thing as we viewed Sony or even Fox in the past. But we have to remember that it would not be ridiculous for us to get Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio and Michael Coulter back, because they were technically in the MCU, just kind of ancillary. They always reference they've referenced Captain America, Hulk, the Battle of New York. So those things did take place in MCU Prime. It's just they've been kind of over here being watched by other people. So it's not as crazy as having Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield or Hugh Jackman, and that stuff's bananas. But they actually have roots in this world, so it makes total sense. Which leads us into our next bit. I'm sure we have more No Way From Home things that we need to talk, No Way Home stuff to talk about, but Hawkeye, this amazing Disney Plus show it's been my favorite. We're 5 episodes in. We're about to start the 6th one tonight at midnight, or I think 1 o'clock where we're at, and the big reveal in the last episode, spoilers, was that the Kingpin is involved in this world. There had been many, many allusions to him. The big guy, my uncle, because in the comic books, spoilers, kids, for those, Echo is actually adopted by Kingpin because her dad gets killed by, I don't know who she's actually killed by, but in the comics, it's actually set up by the Kingpin, which actually seems like that's where we're going in this show as well. But we finally saw which was a weird cell phone picture of him meeting with Kate Bishop, our Lady Hawkeye's mother. I actually saw No Way Home before I saw this, so this would have definitely ruined the Daredevil cameo or the Matt Murdock cameo in No Way Home for me. But fortunately, that was, even though I assumed, it was a good surprise. Because where I thought it was going to happen was going to be at the precinct, and it ended up being at the house in No Way Home. Eric, how amped are you for these additions to the MCU, and where do you think they can go? I mean, with Daredevil, with Kingpin, what do you want to see from those guys in MCU proper now?
Just like you're saying, that they were already part of the universe. Mm-hmm. So, I don't exactly know the Hawkeye lore enough to know, but
I mean, for the future of Daredevil, mm-hmm. What you did see in the Netflix series, mm-hmm. what do you think that where do they need to start with Matt and Fisk in this new MCU?
I don't know, man. I mean, I think if they do another season of Hawkeye, they'd have to bring Matt in somehow.
Okay.
Have to.
Would you want to see another season of Daredevil, or do you just want to see Daredevil going into these different street hero shows?
I'd love to see another season of Daredevil.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we'll get it anytime soon.
You don't think so?
Yeah, I could see them wanting to incorporate those characters into some of the existing properties where, maybe Jessica Jones shows up in She-Hulk, or maybe Luke Cage shows up in or just in some other product where they kind of reestablish them, they kind of refoot them in the films, mm-hmm. and then maybe that springboards into other projects. I feel like I would love to see a Defenders type movie, but it feels kind of, I don't know, it feels premature.
Yeah,
because it feels like they're kind of being reborn as they're being rewritten into this universe.
Yeah.
You're right that they existed in the MCU, but because they were ignored by the MCU, there are probably lots of people that have been watching the superhero movies that never touched the Netflix shows.
Dude, you're right.
I mean, so then it's we gotta also think about the audience, and I mean the Daredevil cameo. If someone knew Daredevil but hadn't watched the show, they probably would have picked up what happened in that scene in the apartment. But I think that, some of the other lesser known characters like Luke Cage or Jessica Jones, maybe, whatever they do with Iron Fist, if they do anything with him, bringing them in, maybe Iron Fist shows up in the next Shang-Chi. Or, I could see them kind of getting reintroductions. I think Kingpin's reintroduction is through Hawkeye. I think we haven't fully gotten Daredevils. We got them at Murdoch. They didn't even mention him by name, I don't think.
They had to say Mr. Murdoch or something because, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't recall actually, and I've only seen it the one time. One of my customers came in today, and this was his 3rd time he had watched it. Was today. So, I want to get back to it, but I need to watch Ghostbusters because we got to talk to this guy about some GB. The Kingpin stuff is very fascinating. Here is my Kingpin theory, and I kind of ran this a little bit by Jordan yesterday. He has his own stuff, and I can't wait to run this by you because I haven't talked to you about it yet. So, what if the Kingpin Obviously, he was going to stand trial, but then nearly all of the witnesses were snapped away.
Right.
Okay, I think that's obvious.
Oh, yeah.
But what if Fisk tries to take the out and he says, okay, you know what? I don't need any of this. I'm going to go meet Vanessa in there. Because I think it'd be too easy to have Vanessa also be snapped.
Right.
So
right.
I think that maybe him and Vanessa, let's just say they're living in Tuscany.
Yep.
They're doing their thing. And then he starts hearing rumors about the Ronin.
Right.
Taking out other things. And it's just kind of giving him an itch.
Sure.
Now, he wants to kind of get involved. And maybe he's going to Ronin with information to take out the other lords.
Oh.
And kind of Clint's big shame is that he was working for the Kingpin.
That makes sense.
And, you know, with the intention of like, oh, okay, like I'm going to come for the king after this is done.
Right.
But then he doesn't have to because he gets his family back. So, like, the kind of shame is like, oh, he didn't finish as the Ronin.
Right.
But he was also doing Kingpin's dirty work, you know.
Yep.
And, you know, and that would fit because
Yeah.
we know that, I mean, if you need a bullseye replacement.
Alec Baldwin is still taking,
Yeah.
still working, right?
So
That guy wasn't even trying.
no, yeah, man, yeah, just gotcha.
Just get you.
So I think that could be a thing where like we're gonna find out that Clint was actually working for Fisk.
Right. That makes
Yeah.
sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
What about you, Big Tuna? What do you think?
My theory is that Kingpin is not one person, but is in fact 3 small children who are sitting on the shoulders of each other. The top one has alopecia.
There you go. There you go.
My thought. So,
Yeah. Okay.
Really baggy clothes. I like that idea of Kingpin supplying the names and like, oh, it's taking pieces off the board. It's kind of, but also, I keep coming back to this thing with the watch. He's protecting a loved one is kind of like he's protecting someone. I think it's his wife. I think she never came to New York. She's been on the farm because she was either a previous hero or a previous villain, or she was a witness. She was somebody that really has to remain isolated. That's why everyone else went to New York. And maybe the deal with Kingpin was like, Kingpin knows I stay, like, if I leave you alone, you leave my family alone kind of thing. But now these paths have to cross because of him seeing everything through with Kate. And now there's this collision course. And that's why he wanted to avoid, we just scared Roman away. So,
I'm sorry, who are you talking?
Yeah, oh my God. Sorry, Dad. But no, and so maybe his frustration about wanting to keep the big guy out of it is because it could potentially blow back on his family.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's the one priority he's made ever since we learned he had a family, is that his family is important. And he's going to these extremes to get this watch back. And so I just feel like these threads are going to connect. I also think, too, Mama Bishop is maybe in deep with Kingpin. Maybe her dead husband was involved in some deals. And through her security business or through her connections, like Kingpin's like, he had a debt he didn't pay back. Now it's on you. And so, so some of these things, maybe the stuff with the tracksuits and stuff, like, it's not Mama Bishop being bad. It's just her trying to protect her family. And that's going to empathize with Hawkeye a little bit because he's trying to protect his family as well.
Interesting. I love getting Yelena in there. I thought in episode 5 when she's having the dinner at Kate's,
Mac and cheese.
The mac and cheese night. What a great scene. Like, I think Haley Steinfeld is not getting enough credit for that scene because she looks genuinely like terrified. Like, it's a little comedic, but at the same time, like, think about the night she's just had, the last couple days she's just had. Like, she knows that Yelena can kill her in any moment. And Yelena, I loved that they showed her being snapped away,
That
like
was
how
so
it was
cool.
for them. Like, it's literally them just coming back to where they exactly were, which I know that we knew, but I often forget about that.
Yeah, and the best way that they showed that when we first saw the blip was in Far From Home when they were at the very beginning of the movie, and they showed like the marching band, like everyone disappeared, and then it's like a basketball game, and like they just show up and like collide with them. Like, yeah, I totally forgot that that's how it worked, and it was super. It was just once again another reminder of she's like, oh my gosh, I got to go find my sister, because because it's like, and so the disconnect between what had just happened, how much time had passed, what got her back. So that was really well done.
And it makes so much sense then why Hawkeye kept getting pushed, because Black Widow kept getting pushed, and we couldn't do Hawkeye without having Yelena, do her thing in Black Widow. So dude, like, I can only imagine the amount of stress Kevin Feige and he puts on his people. Like all those producers, everybody. And did you notice at the end in the credits, there was a special thanks to Avi Arad?
I did in the movie. Yeah,
it was like who had the original vision behind this or something like that.
Yeah,
because Feige was Avi Arad's assistant. On the first Spider-Man movie. So, through several of those films. So, I mean, he has been carrying on the torch. Oh my gosh. I don't know, guys. Marvel has been getting us through the pandemic. Disney, they've been getting us through the pandemic. Great shows, great films. And, I mean, Spider-Man really set a very high bar for what needs to come. It's better than Black Widow. It's definitely better than Eternals. They do not stand on the same. They're not even on the same. They're not playing the same game. Eternals. Hey, you haven't seen it yet either, have you?
No.
Yeah.
I probably couldn't even tell you if I had.
Yeah. Oh man. Hey guys, they're gonna miss. And even if it was the worst movie ever, No Way Home is so good. We need to get out. We need to watch it again. I need to watch it again. I'm so anxious because it's not going to go on Disney Plus, right? Because none of the Spider-Man movies are on Disney Plus. So I'm actually going to have to buy this one. Dang it! Oh man, kids, I think that's our show. Anybody have anything more profound they'd like to add to this wonderful affair that is the MCU? If you like what we're doing, please hit that subscribe button. Let us know what you think of the show below. Let us know what you thought of the movie and of the show of Hawkeye and of No Way Home. I cannot wait to see more. So many characters, so much going on. I'm sure we'll revisit this because there's simply too much to discuss. Eric.
What's up?
Do you have any final thoughts for us today, my friend?
Go watch Spider-Man.
Watch Spider-Man. Yeah, No Way Home, the sequel. If you watch it twice, it becomes No Way Home 2. Big Tuna?
Roman, go see Ghostbusters.
Yeah, there you go.
I will watch Ghostbusters. I promise at some point, even if it's, late night with you cozied up with a hot cocoa, Christmas Eve. We'll see how it goes.
With little Stay Puft Marshmallows?
Oh my God, we totally should because they're caffeinated, kids. That has been it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for listening. I've been your host, Roman Chavez.
I'm still Erik Icarus.
Tuna.
The tuna.
I can't do that with this arm, actually. I just flop.
Oh,
there, I'm alive. There, dead.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you next time.